Hello, my name is Grace Guetta Gonzalez with the Cooperative Extension Program, Bexar County, Prairie View A&M University. Today I will be giving a presentation on job loss, stress, and coping prepared by Rick Peterson from the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. Losing a job is one of the most stressful situations that anyone can experience. We think that it will never happen to us, but when it does happen, it brings a chain reaction of events that touch every aspect of your life. Today's program will provide an overview of job loss, what you might expect during this difficult time, and tips for coping to help you take control of the situation. What is stress? Stress is a psychological and physiological response to events that upset our personal balance in some way. When faced with a threat, whether to our physical safety or emotional equilibrium, the body's defenses kick into high gear in a rapid, automatic process known as the fight or flight response. We all know what this stress response feels like. Heart pounding in the chest, muscles tensing up, breath coming faster, every sense on red alert. Is all stress bad? No. Performance stress, for example, may help us perform better at our jobs. Stress can occur even during happy occasions, including weddings and a birth of a child. However, stress of losing a job may have negative consequences. Some symptoms of stress include areas: physical, emotional, attitudinal, social, thinking, and productivity. Now that you have more awareness of your stress symptoms, we will next discuss a framework for understanding stressful life events and situations such as job loss. Job loss and implications and coping strategies. Using this diagram as a basis for discussion, let's talk about each phase of job loss. This diagram provides framework for understanding stressful life events and situations such as job loss. It focuses on these aspects of crisis or stressor: how you appraise or perceive the stressor, our coping skills with stress combined with our resources to deal with it, the impact or pileup of events and stressors, how things impact our life economically, physically, psychologically, and socially. How well you cope or adapt determines the level of impact on you and your family. Let's take a closer look at the key areas of the model with the next few slides. First, we have crisis and stress. The sudden loss of a job can generate individual and family stress that impacts your level of self-esteem, and it can affect your psychological and physical well-being. Unemployment has been shown to increase stress levels, which increases our risk for anxiety and depression, and it lowers your resistance to disease. Next, we have appraisal of the situation. Perception. Research has identified perception as one of the most powerful variables in explaining how one reacts and deals with stress. For example, one driver may be relaxed in traffic, while another may be upset, impatient, angry, or hostile. The first driver simply accepts the traffic and the other drivers. The second driver sees other drivers as incompetent or idiots and becomes angry. In other words, it isn't the other drivers who give us stress, but what we think of those drivers. As you can see, all of us have our own way of dealing with stress. What upsets one person may not upset another person in the same way. Some of that difference is due to how we perceive the situation. The same thing can be said about job loss and dealing with the fallout from unemployment. What may bother one person may not bother another. In addition, the amount of control we perceive we have over a situation either adds to our stress or makes us feel more comfortable with what we are expecting or experiencing. Now we are going to discuss dealing with loss, understanding the loss of a job. First off, loss of identity. You no longer work for a big company where you were a supervisor. A job provides us with more than a place to work. It provides us with our identity. Many people define themselves by their job title or workplace. Losing your job may also mean that you are losing your role as the family breadwinner. Number 2, losing your way of life. The loss of a way of life. Your way of life may change. Roles change, may no longer be the same. You may no longer be able to do things that you have done over the years. Thirdly, loss of control. A stressful aspect of losing a job is not knowing what is going to happen next, the unknown. That can be stressful for anyone, but you can learn to deal with the unknown and how to cope with it. You can learn strategies that will help you take back some of that control. So, what can you expect from yourself in this situation? The list of emotions and reactions are common following a job loss. Each person is unique and each will react to unemployment in a distinctive way. Many experts suggest that the emotional reaction of a sudden layoff or a job loss is similar to what is experienced with other significant losses, such as a death. Stage 1, loss and grief. Shock. The reality of the loss often takes time to sink in. Your initial reactions may vary from numbness, denial, disbelief, and hysteria to not being able to think straight. These reactions are all natural emotions that cushion you against the loss and allow you to experience it more slowly and cope with it better in the short term. Stage 2, protest. At this stage, it is normal to protest that the loss cannot be real, even though you are being confronted with evidence that it is. As you struggle between denying and eventually accepting the reality of what has happened, you experience waves of strong and powerful feelings such as anger, guilt, sadness, fear, yearning, and searching. Stage 3, disorganization. This is a stage when loss is very real. You are likely to experience overwhelming feelings of bleakness, despair, apathy, anxiety, and confusion. You may feel that this depression could go on forever and there is no way out. Stage 4, reorganization. In this stage, you begin to rebuild your life and acquire a greater balance. At last, you are able to choose to remember happier times. You gradually return to a previous functioning, but often with changed values and new meaning in life. Next, we will discuss job loss coping. Assessing how you are coping with job loss is an important step in better understanding what coping strategies might work best for you. Researchers have identified 2 general coping strategies. 1, emotionally focused coping strategies involve efforts to regulate the emotional consequences of stressful situations. And 2, problem-focused strategies are efforts to do something active to alleviate stressful circumstances. People tend to use both types of strategies to actively cope with stressful situations. Coping resources are important when somebody does experience job loss. Coping resources are individual and family strengths and coping strategies that aid or hinder the person or family in coping with a stressful situation or events. Individually would be if a person needs to work on self-esteem, increase knowledge, and increase skills. Family is a good one where you have cohesion, adaptability, and communication. Families can be good for when a person needs someone to lean on or just talk to or be around during this situation or hard time. Social support is important. Having a great friend network, also belonging to a group or a church. And financial, having some source of income other than job related, having a savings account or other income coming into the family household. As we have job loss, we must be aware of pile up. Job loss and unemployment are impacted by pile up or accumulation of stress and strain over time. It includes dealing with the fallout from the job loss, unemployment, the loss of self-esteem, and reduce psychological and physical well-being. Unemployment has been shown to escalate stress levels, which increases your risk for anxiety and depression and lowers your resistance to disease. Oftentimes, our reactions to this pile up is to blow up or get angry with our family members. The impact of job loss can deal to some stressors. Economic stress is an emotional distress in response to such things as job loss that creates a situation in which resources, such as money, cannot meet or maintain your financial obligations. This economic stress impacts at the individual, couple, and family levels. For example, individual stress as the result of job loss may lead to depression, anxiety, hostility towards others, withdrawal, and even physical illness. These reactions may lead to increased marital stress and conflict and increase the feelings of helplessness felt by both partners. Marital stress may also impact the ability to parent, as parents may become more negative, short-tempered, and harsher in their punishment. Children's reactions to economic and family stress may cause them to display symptoms of their own, such as physical illness, depression, anxiety, and increased hostility. Managing stress is very important. Although some stress is normal and even healthy, we must first recognize the effects of stress in ourselves and our children. Understand the signs of stress in your own life and in that of your children. Remember that our children may not have the same coping resources that we do as adults, and stress may show up in children through complaints about stomach aches, being nervous, trouble sleeping, and flare-ups of anger. Next, prepare in advance. Learn a coping skill yourself, and be sure to model it to your children. Some positive ways to cope include exercise, calming techniques such as sitting quietly while you take deep breaths, writing about your frustrations in a journal, and listening to music. Own the problem. Don't blame others for the situation. Blaming only creates more frustration and stress, and you'll feel that you have less control over the situation by taking responsibility for the problem or taking ownership for your part of the problem. You give yourself an opportunity to address the problem and do something about it. For example, you can implement a problem-solving process to deal with the situation that includes the following steps: identifying the problem, looking at options and alternatives, evaluating those options, choosing a solution, monitoring the solution, and evaluating the plan's success. Improve your communication by using I messages. For example, if you blow up at your child, you can own your feelings and provide a good example by apologizing to them. An I message would be, I am feeling very frustrated right now due to all the things I have to do, and I am sorry for snapping at you. Finally, find support. Look at your support system. Do you have friends you can count on or family members who will help you? Are there special services within your community that will provide families who have stress or who are going through stress? Reach out to friends and family. Ask for help. Don't be afraid. There are 3 aspects of communication. It is important to keep the lines of communication open during stressful times. Pay attention to both verbal and nonverbal communications. Be an active listener. Face the person and make eye contact, giving them your full attention. It's a good step to be able to better understand what the other person is saying. Here are some helpful hints to better communicate. Communicate frequently. Communicate clearly and directly. Be an active listener. Communicate openly and honestly. Think about the person with whom you are communicating. Pay attention to nonverbal messages. And lastly, be positive. It is recommended that parents utilize a more active coping approach with problem-focused strategies. For example, with problem-focused strategies, parents emphasize efforts to seek social support, actively solve the problem, and maintain a positive outlook. These efforts are related to more positive family outcomes. Sometimes when parents are under stress, they overact and take it out on their child, particularly when the child is misbehaving. Under normal circumstances, the parent would not act this way, but stress has a way of spilling over and sometimes getting the best of us. To be better prepared for these times, I suggest that you make a plan in advance so you can stop and cool down before you discipline your child. Now that you have a better understanding of coping behaviors, let's talk about the types of coping strategies shown on this slide. What you can do when you can't stand anymore. Examples: maybe leave the room, take a time out for yourself, count to 10 and breathe deeply before reacting. Think about any other things or suggestions you may have about coping with stress. I, for one, would probably leave the room and go out for a walk and try to gather my thoughts. You can also probably come back and be better towards your child by redirecting them and taking them out for a treat, such as frozen yogurt. Thank you for listening to this presentation. If you have any questions or would like to comment or reply, you can reach me at grguerra@pvamu.edu or g-guerra@tamu.edu. This PowerPoint presentation will be also posted on our Facebook page, so please leave comments, or if you have any questions, leave them on the comment section and I will be glad to get back with you. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.